Hi guys, it's Talha here again today. So today what we learned at the university, we learned about we had an English class. We had two English classes in which we learned about direct and indirect speech, direct and indirect speech, and then we didn't have any class, but yesterday I skipped some topics in fundamentals of computers. So what I skipped was what does defragmentation, what does defragmentation means, and I'll also tell you guys what is a optical disc. It is a optical disc, and we'll also discuss some other storage devices if we have time. So I hope that I can cover all of these topics in this video, because direct and indirect speech is going to take a little time, but I hope I can cover this in these three topics as well. So first, let's discuss what is direct. So our first topic is direct and indirect speech. So what is a direct and indirect speech? One is, there's a term called narration. So what basically narration, or to narrate, or a narration means is to narrate, or is to not speak. It's to speak the exact words of the speaker. Or when you narrate a story, you don't have to speak the exact words of the speaker. You can add words into it by yourself, or you can add something, or you can remove something. It does not have to be the same thing as the speaker have said. So what is a direct speech? In direct speech, so we have two types of speeches in a sentence. So we have, one is reporting speech. In a direct speech, we have two sections of a direct speech. So we have, one is reporting speech, and the second one is reported speech. So in direct speech, we have the exact words of the speaker included in the sentence. So this one is reporting speech, and one is reported speech. So in reporting speech, you address to the person who have said this this reported speech. So for example, if I say that Talha Talha says, or Talha said, and then I put a comma. So this right here, this is a reporting speech, because it's addressing Talha, that he said the further this further part of the sentence. Talha said Talha said that he is sitting he is sitting alone. Alright, so this, for example, this is a sentence. So now here you have reporting speech, that is Talha said, that is not included in quotation marks, and you have reported speech, which has been reported, and this reported speech is the exact words of the speaker. So these words are the exact words that Talha said. So here, reported speech, it is always included in inverted commas. So reported speech is always included in inverted commas, because it stand out, and we want a reader or someone to know that these are the exact words. That is why we use inverted commas, and we use comma after that. So this was a direct speech, where you have the reported speech and the reporting speech. Now, what is an indirect speech? Indirect speech is when you define, or when you write this sentence I've just written in your own words. So you say that, you can also write this sentence like this: Talha. So in indirect speech, you use told. You can use told, Talha told, or Talha said is also okay in this case. So and you also have to use that as a pronoun. You use that. So Talha said that. Okay, so now we want to convert it into indirect. So that means we don't want to repeat the exact words Talha said. We just want to narrate it. We just want the reader to get the idea, and we just want the reader to know that these are not the exact words, but instead we are just narrating what Talha said. So how are we going to write it? We are going to write Talha said that. Okay, so let's make it. Talha said I. Talha said I am. Let's do it this way. So it's going to be real easy for you guys to understand when I replace I am. So Talha said I am sitting alone. So this I am sitting alone is the reported speech or the exact words that Talha said. So we have I am sitting alone. So if we want to narrate it, we are going to write Talha said that he was when the verb or when yes when the verb of the reporting speech and also remember direct and indirect speech is mostly about the past tense, because when it's present, when the verb of the reporting speech is in past tense, um, the the tense of the reported speech, if it's in present, it changes in present. If it's in past, it changes in past perfect. If it's in present perfect, it changes into past perfect. If it's in present indefinite, it changes into past indefinite, and so on. So you have Talha said that he and now here we have said. So the tense of this reported speech will also change. So he was sitting alone. If this sentence was like this, Talha says that I am sitting alone. If this sentence was like this, you don't have to change the tense of the reported speech. So you're just going to write Talha says that he is sitting alone. So now you don't have to change the tense of the reported speech, whether but when you have the verb of the reporting speech in a past tense, you have to change the tense of the reported speech. So for example, if this sentence, or let me write another sentence, you have if I say that said Talha said uh, Talha said um, that bought I bought this iPhone. I bought this iPhone uh, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So how are you going to change the sentence? So as I stated before, that if the verb of the reporting speech is in the past tense and the reported speech is also in the past tense, so what you're going to do, the tense of the reported speech is going to change into past perfect. So you're going to write the sentence like said that Talha said that he had bought. We are going to change this past indefinite into past perfect instead. So I'm going to write Talha said that bought he had bought this iPhone, that iPhone. All right. So you have this changes into that. You have this changes into that when you have the verb of the reporting speech is in the past tense. You have this changes into that. There are other words too. For example, tomorrow. For example, tomorrow changes into the next day. Now you guys just have to memorize these words because it's pretty tricky to understand. If you memorize it, it will be a lot easier for you guys. So you have tomorrow, the next day. You have yesterday. You have yesterday. You can change into the previous day only and only if you have this verb, the verb of the reporting speech, only and only if this verb is in the past tense, then you gotta change these words into their successive replacements. So you have yesterday as the previous day, you have you have now, for example, now, so you change it to then. Yeah, and there are many more words which you have to memorize and which you have to change, and which you don't have to write as they are. You have to change them, you have to replace them by some other words. So that makes more sense when you do that. So here, if I write, Talha said that he had bought that iPhone, so that is more effective, and that makes more sense rather if I write Talha had bought this iPhone. So that makes more sense. So that is why I'm using that iPhone 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Also, if you have the verb of the reporting speech in past tense, and you have this, and there's no time limit. And this action did not happen before something. You do not specify the time when it happened, so you don't have to change the tense of this reported speech into past perfect. It will be written as it is. So for example, if I write Talha said I bought an iPhone. For example, if I said that Talha said I bought an iPhone, so how are you going to change the sentence? You're going to write Talha said that he bought an iPhone. You don't have to write, you won't write Talha said that he had bought an iPhone. You're just going to write Talha bought an iPhone, because there's no time limit involved, and it's not specifying that what time this action what time at this action occurred. The time limit is not defined, or the time limit is not stated. You don't know when this action occurred. So in that case, you don't have to use you don't have to change the sentence into past perfect. You can just write this sentence as it is. You have then you have some imperative sentences where you have questions. For example, if I say Talha says, or Talha if I say Talha says or said, shut the door. Now looking at this sentence, this reported speech sounds like an order. It does not sound like a declarative sentence. It sounds like an order. So what you're going to do, instead of writing Talha said, you can, if you write Talha ordered, so that will make more sense, and that will be more appropriate if you write Talha ordered to shut the door. So this was when your reported speech is in the form of an order. Also, you have, for example, you have Talha said, so this was in order. And if I say that Talha said please, or I say Talha said please, so whenever you have please, so you know that the word requested, or the word proposed, suggested, will replace this word please. So you say that Talha said please bring me a glass of water, or bring a glass of water. So what you're going to write instead, that Talha, not Talha ordered, you will say Talha asked, or Talha requested asked to bring him, or to bring a glass of water. So it depends upon the nature of the sentence. What kind of what meaning the sentence actually portrays. So you have so you're going to write Talha or asked to bring a glass of water, looking at the nature of the sentence, what the nature of the sentence is, and according to that you're going to convert it into indirect. So that was about what we learned today in the class about direct and indirect speech. I know that's not all of it, but as we learn more about it in the class, I'll explain them in the later videos. So next we have defragmentations, we have optical disk, and we have storage devices. So let's discuss them now. So you have defragmentation. So what does defragmentation mean? So in a hard disk, all the data that is stored in a hard disk is not necessarily at the same place. It's just distributed all along on the plate of a hard disk. For example, your data is right here, your data is right here, here, far away from the center, like this. So what the process of defragmentation is, it combines or it accumulates all your data into a single point or into a single space. So your read and write, head does not have to move to separate places or to different places to fetch your data. It can just be at the same place, and it can fetch your data like in an instant. It doesn't have to your plater doesn't have to rotate it. All of your data becomes, or all of your data accumulates at the same point. So you read and write heads, so your access time actually decreases when you defragment a disk or when you defragment a hard disk, because it accumulates all the data at a single point. So that makes your read and write head to not move that much, and to just fetch your data at the same point where all of your data exists. Next, we are going to discuss optical disks. So optical disks are disks which you insert in the optical disk drive. So they are plates. I think point they are two they are point something millimeters in width, and you insert them into the optical disk drive, and they get read by a laser inside. So the laser helps the computer to read what is written in an optical disk. Also, you have different types of optical disk. You have different types of optical disks. You have read only, you have write only, or you have read and write, you have read, write, erase. So sometimes what happens is you have a disk, and the top part of the disk is supposed to be read only or to write only, and the bottom part of the disk, vice versa. So there's a label attached on that part of the disk where they want where you are interested, whether you want to write on the disk, um, or to let the hard disk to read it. So there's a label on the top of the disk that lets you know that which part of the disk to insert first, to based upon your interest. But there are some disks which you have, they're both of their parts. The top part and the bottom part are the same. So whichever way you insert the disk, it will function well. And next we have some other storage devices. Also, I was going to discuss, and also these optical discs, if you take a good care of them, they are actually going to last longer. So from 5 years up to 100 years, and also you can clean these discs, and you gotta have some precautions to keep these discs safe. So if you're drinking something or eating something while these discs are beside you, so that's not a good idea. You also have to prevent them from excess heat. You're also going to have to protect them from water, from magnetic waves and that kind of stuff, so that way they're actually going to last longer. So guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys got an idea what was direct and indirect speech. That was not all of it, but what we studied at the university. I only made a video of that, and then we learned about defragmentation, optical discs, and storage devices, and I gave a little idea about that. So I hope it helps, and thank you very much.